Let's talk about product pricing for this upcoming season and help set expectations for what you're likely to see in terms of product cost. Now, I'm speaking on behalf of the entire industry and not just for our anticipated pricing here at Christmas Designers. I know while many of you buy from us, you also buy from other suppliers, so I want to offer a broader view of what I'm seeing and hearing throughout the industry in the way of pricing for the season ahead. As you know, 2025 is full of uncertainty. Tariff changes, freight instability, and operational cost increases are all hitting at once. No one has a crystal ball for where these things will land. There's a lot at play here and some unknowns that we cannot fully predict at this time. And I'll go into those here in a moment. Industry-wide, we're anticipating prices increasing by between 15% and 35%. One of the key factors that determines how much a product will go up is based on where it is manufactured. Currently, in our industry, the highest tariffs are on products coming out of China. Christmas trees, wreaths, garlands, and ornaments have been one of the few categories that have been exempt from tariffs for a number of years. But now they have a 30% tariff if produced in China. Christmas lights coming from China currently have a 63% tariff. Now compare this to the same products coming out of Cambodia, where you have greenery at a 10% tariff and Christmas lights at 18%. So the country of manufacture will play a big role in how much of a price increase you'll see on Christmas-related products you buy this season. Okay, so before I go on, let's address two frequent questions. First, and most often asked, is why don't we just make these products here in the US? Great question, and there's a video I did a few weeks ago that dives into the topic, so be sure and check that out. The name of the video is Why Christmas Lights Are Not Made in the US. Second frequent question is, if tariffs on Chinese products are higher than other countries, why not just make everything in places like Cambodia or Vietnam where tariffs are lower? That's a great question, but the reality is it's not that simple. First, while China does produce a lot of low-cost goods, it also makes a lot of high-quality Christmas products and does it on a scale and price that cannot be matched in other countries throughout the world. When it comes to things like wreaths, garlands, Christmas trees, and ornaments, the craftsmanship and consistency out of China are tough to beat. That's because they've been doing this for decades and have built up factories, the systems, and the skilled workforce needed to do it well. Second, and maybe even more important, is the size of the labor force. China has about 1.4 billion people. Cambodia, just 14.5 million. That means you need 80 Cambodias to match the size of China's population. Countries like Cambodia and Vietnam simply don't have enough people or the manufacturing capacity to handle the same volume. So while we are shifting some production outside of China to Cambodia and Vietnam and the Philippines, moving everything isn't realistic. All right, back to the subject of pricing for the upcoming holiday season. When it comes to price increases, tariffs have been the main focus for the reason that prices are going up. And yes, tariffs play a major role, but they are just one of three drivers for the increases we're seeing this year. Let's take a look at these three drivers. Number one is, of course, tariffs. With tariffs being up substantially, especially with Christmas products coming out of China, this will be a big driver of price increases, not just for our industry, but for every seller that inventories imported products. The second big driver of cost increase is shipping. The cost to bring products into the country is increasing rapidly this year. When President Trump applied the 145% base tariff to China, that caused all shipments to be stopped. But once the tariffs were dropped down to 30%, that triggered a wave of backlog shipments being released, which has led to a tightening of container availability and early signs of possible port congestion. We have already seen a number of price increases from freight carriers over the past 4 weeks, and we anticipate this trend will continue. The shipping price surge could add even more cost to a product than the current tariff rates, especially on bulkier products where not as much value of product can fit into a container. When you are shipping a container of C7 and C9 bulbs, the total product value inside the container can easily surpass $500,000. So even if shipping cost surges to $15,000 for a container, it can easily be absorbed into the price of the product. That would only add 3% to the total product cost. But when you're shipping a container of garlands and wreaths, the total product value may only be $20,000. So that $15,000 container just added 75% to the price of the product. So a big jump in shipping can mean a large increase in the cost of the product. The more dense and high value a product is, the less inbound shipping increases the product cost. The third reason for higher prices this year is due to higher operational overhead. This one's less obvious, but just as impactful. Even outside of tariffs and inbound shipping, the cost of doing business is higher across the board this year. Wages are up. It takes more to attract and retain good people. Rent, utilities, and warehouse space is getting more and more expensive. Software, hardware, insurance, and compliance costs have all risen as well. So the increased pressure from higher operational overhead definitely does contribute to some of the price increases we're seeing throughout our industry and other industries. So just to recap, expect a price increase of anywhere from 15% to 35% across the board throughout the industry. Items that are sourced from China may be on the higher side of that scale. Shipping and operational costs are rising and could spike further. There's some unknowns here, especially with inbound shipping costs, so it's too soon to know what kind of role they are going to play in price adjustments. So what should you do? First and foremost, educate your customers as you're talking to them. Let them know the why behind the pricing changes. There's a lot of misinformation out there, so educating them in a non-political and non-judgmental way is important. Don't overreact to product price increases, especially if you run a service-based business where most of what your customer pays is for labor. Even a 25% increase in product cost will have only a minimal impact on your overall pricing, since the product is just a small part of your total service offering. Get ahead of the season, lock in inventory early to avoid the crunch. There may be some product shortages this year due to some suppliers in the industry reducing their product buy to help cover the cost of increased shipping and the higher tariffs that we're all paying. So don't delay in getting your staple products for the season in case there are some shortages coming up. Above all, stay sharp and adaptable. This year brings its share of uncertainty, but it also brings opportunity. The pros who think ahead, stay agile, and keep customers informed will rise to the top. Even in unpredictable times, Christmas spending doesn't stop. In fact, it often grows. Families crave tradition, cities want to boost tourism, businesses aim to draw attention. Holiday lighting and decor remain in demand, and it's our job to deliver that magic. So let's lean in, lead with confidence, and be the team that brings comfort, joy, and celebration to every space we touch. Here's to a standout season.